we were obviously very relieved when we heard that somebody had recognized the signal that she was making and had responded. And it was obviously in this context, she was in immediate danger, and it made sense to respond by calling 911, calling the police. So we were just very, very relieved, and we're so happy that she's better and she's out and she's safe and where she needs to be right now.
Yes, because she'd been taken by someone known to her, nevertheless against her will. So give us a sense of how you came up with this idea and how widespread it had become known.
Well, Signal for Help was launched in April 2020 by Canadian Women's Foundation as the risk of gender-based violence was really increasing because of the pandemic, and at the same time, use of video calls had increased. So the reason behind it was really to be able to use something without leaving a digital trace, which is often important in cases of gender-based violence where people really need to be safe, and they're often closely monitored, and they still need to ask for the help they need. So that's the context in which we launched it. And since then, it's been shared millions of times on social media. I have teenagers at home, and they told me that they knew the signal before they knew that it was done by the group that their mum worked for and worked with. So I think it's really about the power of the viral video on TikTok. That's what we're seeing here. We've done a little bit of research. According to what we know, 1 in 3 people in Canada know about the Signal for Help or have seen it being used. And so it's had an incredible impact here where we developed it. But equally, we know that it's known and used in the States. We know that it's been featured in news stories in Brazil. We know that an influencer in Turkey has talked about it. So we've certainly heard echoes since it was launched that it's very, very popular.
So to your point, it must have got a lot of traction on social media because a 16-year-old girl is not really your target audience, and she had heard about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. It's been shared TikTok, Instagram, all kinds of social media platforms where I certainly don't spend much time. It's been extremely well known and used in many different cases. And I think the fact that it's got this sort of snowball effect is a really strong indication to us that it's needed, but also that, we're happy about the fact that it's bringing down barriers for talking about domestic violence and asking for help, because those two things are often stigmatized. And we think it really is important that people understand this signal means reach out to me. And this signal is something that encourages people to follow up with each other, which is critical for young people, but it's also critical at a time that we're in a pandemic and we need to know that people are watching out for us.
Yeah, and remarkable, as you point out, she was noticed driving in this car, making this hand signal in the hope that someone would help her. Of course, we should warn people that they need to proceed with caution because when women are victims of violence, the situation can be quite dangerous.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's important to point out that it's not always the case that you can respond safely and that you have to pick your times when you can respond safely, and that you are being led by the needs of the person who's doing the signal. So on our website, you can go and see canadianwomen.org. It gives advice on how to reach out. But what's most important is that we are equipped to respond to the risk of abuse, whether the signal is used or not. So we have to know the signs. We have to know how to be safe and how to be approachable so that we can respond in a non-judgmental way. And of course, it's not just about, we all should be equipped, but it's not just about individuals. It's also about the community-based services that are critical supports in every single community and that help every survivor work through their journey after they've gotten out of abusive circumstances. And that's so important to underline that there are community services that do this help every single day.
Are you in touch with other community services globally to try and spread this around even further?
Yeah, so through the Women's Funding Network in the US, we expanded the reach to every single women's organization like ours, the women funding organizations in the US. And it's certainly gone further than that to other funders like ours. We are interested to see how it's picked up by different women's services like women's shelters or sex assault centers, because they also have their tools. And this is just one tool of many. So it's not to replace anything that's already being done, that's successful, that communities and organizations have chosen for their ends. This is really just an additional tool to add to that's being done.
Well, just a wonderful outcome, and it's terrific to see this idea used in such a positive way. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for talking about this issue. It's very important to us.